Hey, all right. So one thing not a lot of people know about teaching English, at least in Japan, in my experience, and I would assume by extension elsewhere in the world, is that with children's classes especially, parents expect it to be fun, right? Like the child is supposed to enjoy the classes and look forward to them and things, which is ideally, it's what is it? It's ideal, it's not ideally. Uh, so that sometimes you'll hear teaching in ESL in Japan referred to as edutainment, combination of education and entertainment. It drives some people nuts because they come into the industry really, really serious. I mean, some people will get a master's degree in ESL and then go work in an eikaiwa in Japan. And that's not something I would recommend unless you're utterly, ultimately, deeply passionate about teaching extremely simple English for years on end. And some people are. I mean, there's enough people out there. It has to be the case, right? But I remember when I first started, I had very, very high expectations because as a native English speaker, you expect that the students are going to be working very hard and attempting to reach a level of proficiency where they can talk to you, And sometimes that's the case, even with children, but it's extremely rare. So a lot of times you end up teaching super basic stuff. I mean, anyone who's worked here teaching English can tell you this. It's really about injecting like the same grammar structures and vocabulary points into games, basically, making it as fun and interesting and colorful as possible. And then hoping along the way that you'll kind of vicariously absorb some actual English ability. And usually in the form of being able to kind of have a noticeably better pronunciation than kids who haven't been studying when they get into, like, I think it starts at year 3 now in elementary school. The English classes used to be year 5. But my point is that sometimes you run into situations where it's like, look, lady, I'm trying. I had this happen yesterday on an online class where the mom just sat and watched the whole thing, which is totally fine. I have an open door policy in that regard. I don't like the idea of parents like having to set up an appointment to come see what their kids are doing. It gives me the suspicion that they're hiding something, and then oftentimes they are. I've worked at schools where they were totally hiding what was really going on. But anyways, in this lesson, no one else showed up. It was a group lesson, and no one else came. One kid was just late, couldn't make it. Everyone else is off for the month anyways, and hasn't changed their mind even though I've gone online. So it was basically a private lesson, and the kid just sat there like a lump and barely would try. And then when he came on Zoom, he was like this, like in his chair, and his mom was like, "It seems like he doesn't like English lessons." And I don't know, sometimes it rubs me the wrong way because it's like, well, does he love going to school in the morning? Does he love math class, Does he love having to write the same kanji 20 times in a row? And so sometimes I just hit on it where I'm like, it's not about liking it, he's really a smart kid. He's got really good pronunciation. He just doesn't want to try. But you can't say that, Maybe you can. I wouldn't recommend it because so far everywhere I've worked and here doing my own thing, I've never said that, it's not supposed to be fun. Of course it should be fun, it can be fun, but there's also that element where, if the kid just doesn't want to try and just, won't try, then that's a different story. I mean, I had one coworker who used to get so upset about that. He said that English teachers in the end were really just dancing bears. It was pretty funny. He kind of lost his temper one time on office staff, which is not funny. But he's saying, I come in here, I put on my dancing bear costume, and I dance around, and I go home, and give me a break. Which was pretty funny. But in his case, he was just taking himself way too seriously and expecting way too much from the world around him. So it's his own fault in that case. But it was funny. So I'm pretty much convinced that this kid's probably going to quit, which it just happens, It's unfortunate because as much as people may, try to sweet talk parents into keeping their kids into the school, he does have really good pronunciation. He's a very bright kid. but he just doesn't want to try. And it's unfortunate because even if the lessons are super simple, you know, what's this? What's that? You know, this is or yes I do, no I don't, isn't it? All this super simple practice over and over again for 3 or 4 years actually does make a difference. I don't really care what anyone says about it. I've struggled with, you know, my own ego issues. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? And but on the other end, there's people who just love this type of work. I have a colleague at the university who just loves teaching kids. She loves building the lessons and trying out all these like learning theories and just gets so much out of it and stays up late studying and reading, you know, and she takes it very seriously and she really enjoys it. And sometimes I lean more toward that. It's like, look, man, you're taking people's money and you're providing a service. You should be taking it seriously. So I do, and sometimes that's what gets that hang up where it's like, it's not supposed to be just fun. But my point is, if kids do continue, there's a noticeable difference. Usually when they get in around junior high, they have an ability to speak in a way that, generally speaking, a lot of kids who start at that age don't catch up to. It's unusual. So I had one girl who came here. Let's see, she was a year 3 in elementary school, and she was one of the first like 5 students I got when I first opened. So I think she started in like October of 2014. So now she's in junior high. She's actually a year 3 as of this school year. But she continued with me for the first 2 years of junior high with 2 classmates of hers that started fresh when they started junior high together, and they could not pronounce things as well as her, and they kept asking, how come you can pronounce it like that? How come you can do that? It's because she'd spent the previous 3 years once a week just doing super simple stuff. And I mean, a lot of it also depends on the parents' motivation. It is very, very common that they just want their kids to go have fun and sometimes get out of their hair for roughly an hour, and hopefully maybe learn some English. If they don't, it's okay as long as they have fun. But then there are other parents who really want their kids to learn and will ask all kinds of questions and, you know, invest a lot of emotional time and energy into their children's learning. Yeah, 2 twins walking by. Hey boys. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now. I'm just like, you know, is it always supposed to be so much fun? They can't, hey buddy, they can't, you know, they can't stand it, or is, you know, there has to be a balance point where it's like, you know, you're learning something. It's gonna sometimes be a bit of a struggle. You have to apply yourself. No one can make you do that, you know. As the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's very, very true. But is it really a good idea to focus purely on making it think it's learning, or making it, in this case, making it think it's drinking and it's not thirsty anymore? I don't know. So there's my rant. Let me know what you think. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys deal with this too, with the kid who won't try and the mom who doesn't understand, you know, why he's not learning English and why he doesn't like it. So until next time.